In an ideal world, well, my whole days would revolve around self-care and self-love.
Yeah. Previously, the Feel Better Everyday podcast, you're listening to what's now the Souls to Soul Care for Trauma and AuDHD with Eve Menezes-Cunningham podcast. Learn to love and care for all your parts, including your AuDHD and trauma, from the soles of your feet to your soul. I'm your host and producer, Eve Menezes-Cunningham. I'm also an author, the 365 Ways to Feel Better, Self-Care Ideas for Embodied Wellbeing. I'm a columnist for Platinum magazine, monthly columnist, and I use my Feel, Love, Heal framework to support readers with their questions each month. And I've also written for hundreds of titles over the years as a freelance journalist, and also contributed comment around my specialisms of like sleep, trauma, anxiety, neurodivergence, burnout, confidence, finding more purpose, meaning and joy, embodied somatic approaches. It's very holistic, my approach. I'm a trauma therapist and trauma survivor. I'm an AuDHD coach and AuDHDer. And I'm a self-care coach where I integrate all of my therapies and coaching. So that includes the NLP, the EFT, the crystals, the psychosynthesis counselling, the yoga, the meditation, the mindfulness, the psychoeducation. It's a very collaborative approach. In the podcast, Souls to Soul Care for Trauma and AuDHD, certain episodes may be more in one direction, more another. Not everyone is interested in all of my offerings, and obviously that's fine. My intention is to help you remember that you know yourself best, to help you connect with your whole self, to help you work with all your parts, and to help you find that tenderness, that care, that love. And you can help me keep this free by sharing, by subscribing, by giving me a 5-star review if you'd like, and letting me know what you'd like more of. You can email Eve at soulstosoul.ie or comment in any of the comment sections. And I also encourage you to visit soulstosoul.ie for full show notes, as well as wherever you're listening, and links and additional resources. There are lots of free resources, and you can sign up for my free weekly newsletter, Mila Buikas Mondays. It comes out every Monday. Mila Buikas translates as 1,000 thank yous in Irish. And as well as encouraging a gratitude practice, it's a polyvagal informed journal prompts approach to help you map your nervous system, to help you acknowledge that, yes, there's a lot to be grateful for, there's a lot that's magical and awe-inspiring in the world, and there's also an enormous amount coming up for healing. And it's not about denial, it's not about toxic positivity, it's about meeting yourself where you are and accessing the supports that are going to help you with that. So do sign up for that for free at the website. And you can, if you're local enough to Westport, you might be interested in the Westport Lunar Circles that I run each month around or on the waning half moon. So the focus is on releasing blocks to balance and harmony, but it's a lovely small group, and you can find out more again at the website. I hope that you enjoy this episode. Thanks again for listening. And as you listen to the episodes, connect with your souls to your soul, scan your whole self, notice what emerges, what parts of the body, what parts of yourself need extra tenderness, need that love, need that care. Ask yourself, if I truly loved myself, what would I be doing? And aim to do that. Get to know yourself and enjoy. Welcome, Emily Rosenkranz. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Eve.
My absolute pleasure. I am still astonished that I attended your first ever yoga class.
You did.
And you were like a seasoned pro. You were just, your classes are so lovely at the yoga route, and I just couldn't believe it was your first class.
Thank you so
That
much.
one. And I wondered if you want to let people know where they can find you online and anything else you're working on that you want to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the easiest place to find me would just be my personal Instagram page, which is
Yeah.
Emily Rosenkranz, exactly how it's spelled. And I do make an occasional appearance in the yoga route whenever I can. But I do live in Dublin right now. I've recently moved, relocated to the big city. So it's probably easier to get me online.
So yeah, and you're a yoga instructor, and what else?
Yeah,
Like,
so right now I'm working in youth work.
mm,
Yes, which is an interesting balance between the two, teaching
yeah,
yoga and also doing youth work.
yeah.
And then, yeah, hopefully I have plans for maybe September going onwards, but I won't say anything too much.
No, don't share anything you don't want to share.
Yeah.
And I know what it's like when things are like in kind of seed stage and
Mhm.
you want to protect and yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. So I use this framework, the Feel Love Heal framework that I developed because on different days in different moments we have different bandwidths in terms of our self-care. Like
Mhm.
sometimes it's easier to do something regulatory, the kind of lowercase s hyphenated self-care, the things to help the nervous system, the things to help change the way we feel, to help us feel better. Then the love bit, it's kind of like the love archetype in psychosynthesis, that kind of uppercase S self, the miraculous self, the we're all part of nature, we're all part of the divine. We don't have to do a thing to improve ourselves. And
Mhm.
it's just that remembering. And that sounds really simple, but that can often be harder.
Yeah.
So, like things we can do to help us connect with that kind of because cats state that cats don't need reminders that they're part of
Mhm.
the divine.
Yeah.
And then the heal is the more co-regulatory, collective care. So you hold beautiful space in your classes. And if you want to say a bit about like kind of how you do that and also how you let yourself be held, like what helps you in terms of like the turning heartache into action.
Okay.
So
Then
so I'm also aware, like this sounds like a lot, and I'll kind of go through at each stage again.
you might give
Um,
me a summary before
because
each
also,
time.
yeah, I'm asking about like kind of the ideal and then
Mhm.
the actual, because for some people, well, for most of us, there's an enormous gulf between what we'd like to be doing,
Mhm.
how we'd like to be living, and then like kind of the essentials. So, what is your go-to in each kind
Okay.
of area?
Amazing.
So, if we start with the feel, what helps you when you
Mhm.
want to feel better, like in an ideal world?
In an ideal world, well, my whole days would revolve around self-care and self-love. In
Yeah,
an ideal world. I think this is kind of a recent discovery for me of what self-care is. I don't think I really understood it. If you were to ask me, I'd think face
mm,
masks and,
yeah,
meditation and all these things that I didn't practice in my everyday. So I think recently for me, I've had the realization, and maybe this is my frontal lobe developing. I've just turned 25. So
happy birthday.
thank you. I'm officially an adult. The gray hairs
Ah.
are coming in.
I'm 50. I still say, I feel like a grown up. And it's like a grown up wouldn't say that, would they? But yeah.
I'm getting there. I don't yet feel like a grown up, but I think I've just recently had that realization that I'm the only one that is going to look after me. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not a child anymore. No one's waking
Yeah.
up for school. I actually have a job.
Yeah.
I, I have responsibilities. And I think I learned that how I set myself up for the day means the
Yes.
world.
Yes.
And I really had to work on what those basics would look like because I
Yeah.
remember when I was first trying to think of like a morning ritual or an evening ritual, it would go into the ideal where I'd say, like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do an hour long yoga practice and then my 30 minutes of breath work, and then I'll do my shaking and I'll do my journaling. But that's a full time job in itself,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. So I've realized the little basics that help me a lot. I like to keep my phone outside of the room,
Uh-huh.
self-care wise,
Yeah.
because I think that it's really easy for me, anyways, to like feed this stress response of scrolling.
Yeah.
Like I'd wake up and I'd look at my phone, search my notifications, scroll through Instagram of like the crazy
Yeah.
things that are happening in the world, and then a funny cat video,
Yeah.
and then, a makeup tutorial, and then war. And it's like, it's all too much for your brain. It is,
Absolutely.
you know? So I
Yeah.
think that's really important for me to just have that time to come into the present moment when I wake up
Yeah.
in the morning. And I do have my other part of my morning routine would be my 5 minute journal,
Uh-huh.
which I actually got gifted in the yoga route maybe 3 years ago. I'm outing myself now, by a lovely, lovely lady called Naomi. And she bought me the journal after a New Year's resolution setting workshop that Derek put on.
Mm-hmm.
And I never ever looked at it.
Yeah.
I thought in the moment, like, isn't this amazing? I'm going to do it every day in an ideal world. But
Yeah.
it took me 3 years
Yeah.
to bring this into my routine. And it's really
Yeah.
basic,
Yeah.
just what you're grateful about,
Yeah.
things that would make today great, and then a daily affirmation. And you look back
Mm.
in the evening as well and review your day. But that really sets me up on the right,
Yeah.
you know, for sure. And even if I have a super, what I would imagine to be a stressful day incoming, like my things that would make today great would be really basic,
Yeah.
just feeling like comfortable and confident in this meeting. And then maybe getting a nice sweet treat when I have my coffee, just really
Yeah.
basic to, give me
Yes.
some direction and some shape on the day.
Yeah, it's that adaptability, isn't it? The flexibility around it. And so if you could only pick one thing, what would it be in that area?
Mm.
And I always feel evil when I ask this
Yeah.
question.
I think it would probably be the phone
Yeah,
away from me,
yeah,
because I think if the phone is in my room, I can't do
yeah,
anything else.
yeah,
I automatically go for it. But
yeah.
if I don't have my phone there, I have to do something good for myself.
And how far away does it have to be? I'm just giggling in my head because I'm thinking I went through a phase where I'd be looking at my phone in the night when I got up for the loo and I forgot to turn my phone on silent and someone is ringing. Apologies.
That's okay.
That's so bad. Um,
Don't worry.
but I that I can't believe I did that. So yeah, if I was waking up in the night and I was checking my phone to see if my body battery was charging while I was asleep.
What is your body battery?
So it's on the watch. It's like the
Ah,
act. It kind of it tracks heart rate variability and various kind of physiological elements it can
sure.
through the wrist, through the pulse,
Hmm.
and on the app. And I was like looking, am I like basically not trusting my body to do what my body knows well how to do?
Yes. Am I sleeping
So
well in the middle
yeah,
of the night?
am I
Yeah.
asleep?
Yeah.
Only if the phone calls me.
Oh,
So,
I-
how far does your phone have to be to help you not get hooked into that?
it has to be in another room.
Yeah,
Sure. So I'm in a very small apartment. So just outside my room is my kitchen, and it's usually
yeah,
and I'll leave it
yeah.
there overnight.
I am going to do the same.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God, Grace. Okay.
Yeah, I feel the anxiety rising, but I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
There's part of me, and I think I shouldn't be sharing this, but I'm gonna. There's the fear of what if there were an intruder? What if there were a serial killer? I need my phone, but then it's like I went decades without a phone. Like it's fine to be in another room, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
I think even that ridiculous catastrophizing thought, what if and I do every week, I do a 12-hour silence, so Friday night to Saturday morning.
Wow. Okay.
And even within the first 20 minutes, I feel
Yeah.
loved ones have my landline in case of emergency.
Yeah.
But there is something so relaxing about not being on call and not being, much as I love social media and the internet and all of it, it is all designed to keep us hooked in, isn't it? And especially with AuDHD, it's like
Mhm.
kind of, yeah, you've inspired me.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. And it does take time. At the beginning,
Yeah,
I thought I could never do that because
yeah,
what if there's an emergency and someone
yeah,
needs to call me? But then I had to think to myself, how often is there an emergency? Not
yeah,
often. That's
yeah,
just my stress response coming in here.
yes.
And what could I do?
So do
Um,
you have it switched off in another room or you have it
no,
switched on?
it is.
So it's on.
Yeah,
So you can hear if someone needs you. Like you just
probably not. But I could also be having a deep
yeah.
sleep.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
mean, I'm also aware we talk like this, like we're
Mhm.
emergency first responders with pages.
Yes.
My mum remembers like I'm Indian Irish, and she remembers like her parents emigrated from India to Kenya, where she was born and raised. But
Okay.
she talks about like the penny post, where before people like it would take however long for a letter to arrive and you'd
Mhm.
have to pay a penny for it, and sometimes people wouldn't have that penny to pay for the actual news, but they would know that at the time that had been sent the person was alive.
Yes.
So here we are like, oh, like phone not right
I
next to
know.
my hand.
Yeah, I know. And it does make me feel like an element of guilt, but I'm
Yeah,
not on call.
no,
And it doesn't need to be my second limb. I deserve
yes.
sleep through the night. I do. As crazy as that is to say, I do deserve to sleep.
We deserve to sleep through the
You
night,
do.
absolutely.
Yes.
So moving into the love part, that kind of that knowing you're part of the divine, part of nature, you
Mhm.
don't need to do a thing to improve. Like you talked about self-care and self-love, and it
Yeah.
embarrasses me a little to think like I wrote a book about self-care. Like this has been my work for over 2 decades, a lot like trauma recovery, all the rest of it. And it's only probably in the last few years that I've made the kind of self-love comparison. Like I wrote on the side of my bathroom mirror, what would a person who loved themselves do
Yeah.
that?
Hmm.
um and it's like what helps you get into that frame where you know you are worthy of whatever it is you need,
Yeah.
that helps you connect with that highest, wisest, truest part of yourself.
Hmm. I'd say there's a few ones. Probably like coming back to my yoga practice, and it's
Mm,
something that I will never ever regret doing my yoga practice once I come
yeah,
to it. And it is something that I wish I could do every day. And hopefully I do get to the space where
yeah,
I can do some form of movement every single day.
yeah,
But I also love the class structure because I think there's
yeah,
something about that collective consciousness.
yeah,
And I think that's where I really feel it. I also feel it coming in, yes, so that free movement. I've also been getting into shaking recently.
the TRE.
What does TRE stand for?
I don't know. I
Mhm.
personally used to shake as an involuntary trauma response, which I didn't know what was happening to me. But I
Mhm.
remember, like, especially when I was anxious, like before handing something in at uni, I would have
Mhm.
to stand against a wall and I would be, and I later learned, like, kind of the impala, it senses the lion, it plays
Mhm.
dead, it then shakes off.
Yeah.
And I know, like, I did some chakra yoga training with Anadea Judith years and years ago in London, but
Mhm.
shaking was a big part of that. But at the time, I couldn't decouple it from the involuntary shaking that I'd done for so much of my life. So I
Yes.
wasn't going to be deliberately doing it. But I
Hmm.
know people who swear by it as a way of releasing trauma.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what TRE stands for,
Mhm.
but I remember thinking, I don't need it, I do it naturally.
I know, and I was doing some research on it, and for some people, it might
Yeah.
not work if that's
Mm.
and it is a part of your natural reaction to stressors.
Yeah.
It might not be a super nice thing for you to be feeling,
Yeah.
you know. But for some people, it can feel really freeing and bring you back
Yeah.
to that animalistic side. Like I was
Yeah.
reading a book by Emily Nagoski, I think her
Yeah.
name is, and she talks about the stress cycle,
Yeah.
which is about that
It
how,
has to move out of the body.
yeah, it's got to
Yeah.
get out. And we
Yeah.
in society just live with this
Yeah. Yeah.
accumulated
Yeah.
anxiousness in our body because we have no
Yeah.
way of releasing it,
Yeah.
you know? And it's about that. Like, I'm a crier
Yeah.
and I love to,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know? And sometimes if someone sees me crying, they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yes."
Yeah.
Having a great time.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this. But that is for me
Yeah.
really like having a roar and a cry
Yeah.
is really cathartic for me.
Yeah.
And also having a shake and just getting it off of my body
Yeah.
brings me back down to baseline.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'll go with like kind of strong movement, but
Hmm.
something more impact, like it might be sun salutations. My shoulder still isn't right, but I used to love a few cartwheels or a handstand up against a wall, but
Yeah.
something to like burn off or chair pose, like it's that kind of, but you again, I will go back to my notes and
Mhm.
have a look and think. I'm thinking it. I understand it, and I know so many people who swear by it. But I think because I used to be so embarrassed at how shaky I was, and that was
Mhm.
back in my drinky days as well. I've been sober since 2001, but
Okay.
people would sometimes say like, Eve shakes a lot, doesn't she?" It's like like maybe I should try it, like a counterphobic thing, like
Yeah, you could take back
deliberate
the ownership
shaking.
of
Yeah.
shake. Hmm. For sure.
The decades have passed. So so the shaking, it helps you get to baseline.
Mhm.
The like, what would be your one thing that helps you?
I'd say I just thought breathing, but that's very basic. But breathing,
Yeah.
yeah,
What, I mean, we're breathing all the time, but what
all the time.
specific kind of breathing
Mhm.
helps you?
Well, I like just kind of breath control techniques.
Yeah.
Going back to your pranayama, which
Yeah.
I probably never would have done until I started going a little bit deeper into my yoga practice.
And which specific pranayama?
I like, now I can't think of the exact words,
Hmm.
but extending my exhale. So I'd
Yep.
like 4-6 breath. I
Hmm.
also like doing the box breathing where you
Yeah.
inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4.
Hmm.
I think that they're really, really deeply regulating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. 100%.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And sometimes I also quite like, and I try to sometimes practice things. It's hard when it's coming because I'm trying to work a lot on my nervous system
Yeah.
regulation.
Hmm.
Things like the fire's breath, where
Yeah.
they're energizing, but if you have a long
Yeah.
history of maybe anxiety,
Yeah.
things like that of
Yeah.
quickening your breath, it
Yeah.
can be really deeply dissociating and
Yeah.
a little bit triggering. But I
Yeah.
think something about, like we were saying, re-owning the shake, re-owning the
Yes.
breath and
Yes.
realizing I'm the one controlling this. I'm
Yes.
voluntarily breathing like this.
Yeah.
Nothing is wrong and nothing bad is happening. I'm safe. That's
Yeah.
why I'm allowing myself to breathe in this way, you know?
Absolutely. And
Hmm.
like the kind of yoga I teach, it's lifting the nervous system, lowering it. So
Hmm.
you're doing active, and then you've got like much longer pauses than you'd have in a traditional class.
Yes.
And you can do that with the breath, the calming
Hmm.
breath, then the lifting breath, then the calming breath. And it is that complete, and it can be. This is the thing with self-care. It can be an amazing thing to do for yourself, or it could be triggering and it could be too much. And it's
Yeah.
only in any given moment
Hmm.
what's right. So, you've said already a lot about the kind of community element, but
Hmm.
what helps you what helps you feel held, what helps you co-regulate, and also, like, I know you teach delightful classes, how do you hold for others? Like, what would you like to say, like, in an ideal world and the essential, like, I need this, otherwise Ah.
Mhm. Maybe when it comes to me and how I feel held, I think, and this is something for my whole life, I remember and I forget, and I remember and I forget, and this is
Absolutely.
what we do as humans.
Yeah.
But I think it's being surrounded by women.
Uh-huh.
And I went to a women's circle in the summer actually, and it was
Yeah.
for at a full moon ritual. And it was so deep. Like we sat in a circle, and I remember going in, and like we heard before we went in, you would have to release something. And if you felt comfortable, you'd say what you were going to release to the
Yeah.
group. And I was going around in my head being like, this is too much to say. This is too much to say. Nobody's going to understand it. It's too intense. I don't know these women very
Yeah.
much or for long. And then when we all sat around and no one even said anything, we just all
Yeah.
held hands and you could feel
Mm.
the collective understanding.
Yeah.
And we wept so much. And there was no comforting, which I liked because I think
Yes.
as women, like we're fixers, and if
Mm.
says something horrible that they've been through, we're like, oh, I understand that because of this, and like I tried this because of this, but we just looked at each other and nodded.
Yeah.
And I think I realized coming out of that there's so much more than in here. My inner
Yeah.
world is not the only thing that rules. And really, nobody else knows that my inner world exists. It's just me. And if it can sometimes be a really awful place to be, you have to remind
Yeah.
yourself to get out
Yeah.
and go out there. I
Yeah.
think that came from the understanding of how deeply, and it's all human beings, but especially women for me,
Mm.
of how deeply we can hurt, but also what
Yes.
a blessing how deeply we can feel,
Yeah.
you know? And I think that for me is a big co-regulation thing that I need to
Yeah.
get it out and reality check myself.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So can you do that more often or like,
Yeah, in an ideal world, I would love to
yeah.
have a community up here in Dublin
Yeah.
that worked in a similar way. Like I would love
Yeah.
a women's circle, something to work with
Yeah.
the moon. I know I'm really
Are
in
you familiar with Moon Manor?
Moon
The
Manor.
Bible?
Maybe I have heard of Moon Manor.
I'm one of their facilitators, but I do mixed circles.
Okay.
Um, but if you check out moonmanor.ie,
Okay.
and I can't remember, but there'll be a link in the show notes. I interviewed
Mhm.
Dr. Karen Ward for the podcast, but she works with Sacred Island and the Divine Feminine and the goddesses, and there are rites each circle, and I think you'd love it, and I'm sure that there are facilitators near you.
Okay, great. That sounds
Um,
right up my alley, Eve. Right up.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's-
And if you could go back to younger you, what would you send in the way of love, in the way of wisdom? And if you feel comfortable saying at what age?
Yeah, I think there's so many ages and stages of me that I would
Yeah,
go back to if I could
yeah.
and give them some
We
advice.
can, we
We can.
can. Like,
Yes.
I'm saying, yeah. If I'm like, yeah, we
We
can,
could be here all
totally.
day.
Yeah.
But I think every time the
Mm,
advice would be similar, that you will be
mm.
okay
Yeah,
and things will change and you will get better.
yeah,
And yeah, very basic, very simple, but I think that's really what I'd
yeah,
say. If we had hours here, I could
yeah.
go into more specifics, but
But no, what I mean is you can connect with those
oh yeah.
youth at younger ages whenever they're calling for you. And
Yeah.
it's incredible how much reparenting and healing
Yeah,
and yeah,
absolutely. And they do come out. I see those
yeah,
girls all the time.
yeah.
Um, it sounds like I'm having like multiple voices in my head. I'm
No,
not.
not at all. No,
But
yeah,
it does, like sometimes I'll feel like I'm the 10-year-old girl again,
yeah,
and I have to go back as an adult version of me and remind myself I'm not there and things are
yeah,
now and the past won't keep recreating
yeah,
itself in this reality.
yeah.
Hmm.
And again, the more regulated we are, the more we can soothe ourselves, the more we can remind ourselves the prefrontal cortex is more on board rather than the amygdala, like 10-year-old helpless or whatever it might be. And it's like, nope,
Yes.
I've got this. We're safe.
Mhm.
We've got this. It's all, and yeah,
Yeah. I think maybe that would be my advice would be the bad things have happened, but they
yeah,
don't have to keep happening.
yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
think that would be my advice for every age and every stage of life.
yeah.
Hmm.
I love it.
Yeah.
I knew you would be a delight to talk to, and I'm so happy you were able to talk to me. Um,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
As you think about this episode, I want you to imagine scanning your whole body, your whole energy field from the soles of your feet to your soles, and notice what has come up for you as you've listened, as you think about it now. How might you show yourself some extra love, some extra care today, this week? Make some notes, doodle, whatever feels good. And if it feels comfortable and you want to email Eve at soulstosoul.ie or comment in any of the comment areas, do feel free. Subscribe, rate, review, all the things. But thank you for listening. I'm your host and producer, Eve Menezes Cunningham. Find full links in the show notes and full transcript. And let me know if you have any questions. Really looking forward to joining you again next week, and have a brilliant week.